this is James Flynn, a political scientist from New Zealand. And in 1981, James was reading this academic paper from the 1950s. The paper was comparing the IQ scores of American soldiers from World War I to World War II. And they found this weird thing. They found that soldiers in World War II had higher IQ scores. And James is like, I wonder if this pattern happened in other places. Now, because this is the 1980s, there is no email, there is no Google, there's not even a number on a university website. So James had to write some good old-fashioned letters. And so he wrote to researchers from a whole bunch of different countries asking if they have any IQ data lying around and if they could send it to him. And after a couple months, he got data back from 14 countries. And they all showed the same pattern. The IQ scores had risen over time. To paraphrase Beyonce, if you like it, then you better put a name on it. And a couple of years later, some other researchers did this when they called it the Flynn effect. And what an effect it is. If you take an average teenager today with an IQ of 100, give them a time machine and send them back to 1910, they would have an IQ of 130. But the strange thing was that James wasn't the first one to notice that IQ scores had risen. The thing with IQ tests is the scores are always standardized. This means that they adjust how the tests are scored because they want the average IQ score to be 100 and the standard deviation to be 15. And every few years, the test givers would have to adjust how they scored the tests because the scores increased. But they didn't make the same connection that James did. What James did was ask a question people hadn't asked before. Is this a global pattern? The psychologist Amos Tversky has this quote I love. A part of good science is to see what everyone else can see, but think what no one else has ever said. Because James was an outsider, he wasn't an expert in IQ scores, he asked a question other people hadn't asked. James later said this, as an outsider, things strike me as surprising that I think people trained in psychometrics just accepted. Being an outsider can sometimes help us solve problems. Here's some more examples. Solving our friends' problems, easy peasy. Solving our own problems is bloody difficult. Another example is food preservation. For hundreds of years, scientists were trying to find ways to make food last longer. The person who found the solution was Nicholas Abbott. And he was a jack of all trades. He worked as a candy maker, a chef, a brewer, a pickle maker, and more. But that range of experiences helped him find the solution and to help create the technology of canned food. Another example is NASA. For 30 years, NASA had been trying to predict solar particle storms, which are these storms from the sun that can bugger up NASA equipment. Eventually, they posted about it online, and 6 months later, the problem was solved by a retired engineer. So the key idea is this. Sometimes experience can blind us, but being an outsider or getting help from an outsider can help us solve problems. This is an idea from Range by David Epstein.